Welcome to the Secure CIO, the podcast for technology executives who are tasked with hiring and retaining great cybersecurity leaders. Join best-selling author Claire Pales together with industry thought leaders as they answer your questions about sourcing the right leaders, building cybersecurity teams, candidate selection, salaries, skills, and more.
Hello, I'm Claire Pales and welcome to the Secure CIO podcast. Today's guest is Craig Searle. Craig is the co-founder of Australian cybersecurity consultancy Hivint and the security collaboration platform Security Colony, both of which were acquired by Trustwave, an Optus company, in December 2018. Craig has over 12 years of experience in the security industry, working in the finance, government, telecommunication and infrastructure sectors. He's got a strong technical background. Craig works with senior executives to help them better understand how security can provide significant benefits to their business. Craig is well known in the industry and regularly presents at industry and specific sector conferences. Craig, thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, thanks very much. Very excited to be part of this.
So we've heard a little bit about you in your bio. Tell me a bit about how you got to this point in your career as a leader. And how did you go from being a network administrator to now being the co-founder of Australia's fastest growing cybersecurity consultancy?
Sure. So I guess like many of my peers in the industry that have been around for the 10 to 15 year mark, many of us have had a fairly long and winding road in cybersecurity. I started as a network / web admin for a financial services company. I had a keen passion in cybersecurity, and at the time as it was known as information security, and used to spend a lot of my spare time practicing techniques, learning all sorts of things that I could around cybersecurity and penetration testing and all these sorts of things. I came across a company called SIFT, which Nick Elsmore had started back in late 2002, and I came on board in early 2003 as the first employee at SIFT. SIFT grew and expanded and eventually merged with another large cybersecurity team in Australia called StratSec. We became StratSec, and then in 2010 were acquired by BAE. I eventually became the head of cybersecurity in the APAC region for BAE till January 2015, where I decided that I really wanted to go through that startup journey again. It was something I was really passionate about, and so I started Hivint in February 2015.
I mean, that's quite an interesting and exciting journey from sort of start to now. And given that you come from such a technical grounding, how did you transition from that technical expertise, which you maintain today, but now you take on such a leadership role in many different ways? Did you want to do that, or did someone see something in you and say, hey, Craig, we think you've got leadership potential?
Look, I'm not sure I was ever actually an expert or if I even am now. But look, I think probably the nature of small business and small businesses that are growing is that there is lots of opportunity to take on more responsibility as those businesses grow. And leadership is not necessarily something for everyone, but for those people where that is something that they are interested in and have some interest and talent, then small business is a perfect place to sort of foster that and allow that to grow and give it the opportunity it needs. So, I was fortunate enough to be in a business where we were growing. There was an opportunity for me to take on more and more leadership roles and learn as I went, make mistakes, learn from those mistakes and get better at leadership over time. And I've sort of landed into a senior leadership roles. But to be fair, look, I'm still learning. I think leadership is one of those things where you never get to an end point. It's always a learning, refining, make mistakes, learn from those mistakes and those sorts of things. So it is a part of my job I enjoy. But I'm also aware that it is a skill that needs to be maintained.
And I understand too that you've gone out to do some professional development around the company directors course and those types of things. Has that been part of your journey to become a leader as well?
Yeah, I think so. Look, I think probably probably one of the skills I have, and I think it is a really important skill for those people coming from a technical background, is to be able to take really difficult technical concepts and apply a business context to them. And one of the issues I do think that we face in the cybersecurity industry is that we take these technical issues and we throw them out to the broader marketplace and sort of say, here is an issue, you need to be able to deal with this. And we constantly end up in these the sky is falling in kind of scenarios where for the vast majority of businesses, a lot of these types of issues that we're seeing are in fact edge cases. So having business grounding and getting a better understanding of what are the sorts of things that your typical small, medium business or your typical enterprise organization have to concern themselves with then allows you to sort of overlay that against a technical concept and hopefully come out with an outcome that actually makes a bit more sense at a business level, but you can still have that underlying technical aspect to it.
Yeah, I mean, those traits, I guess, are things that technical people can develop over time, or do you think that they're sort of inherent in them in terms of their ability to express a technical situation or a technical project, for example, in more business speak?
Look, it's absolutely a learned skill. There is an element of it where I think it's more of an art form than a science, but I think really it is something in terms of being able to inform yourself, and also experience and just a willingness to sort of put yourself out there and understand that not everything is a black and white concept but as we commonly treat it in a technical space. But there's so many shades of grey in business, and it's being aware that there might not necessarily be a right or wrong answer. There just may be a less worse answer, and it's helping the business try and identify when that occurs and then how they can actually get to the right answer for their business.
Yeah, I mean, finding those people that are moldable and can learn these things. I mean, you've built a successful, large employee community, more than 80 staff now. What do you think has drawn people to come to work with you? What was your organisation for yourself and for Nick? What were you doing differently that was bringing in people that wanted to work with you guys?
Actually, I think that's it, is that we were doing something different. We were very open and upfront about what we wanted to do, and that we were building a business around the concept of collaboration in cybersecurity. And we had a very particular ethos around the team. We wanted to be a part of that, the types of people we wanted to work with. And really that allowed us to start to attract talent based on the fact that people believed in that philosophy and the way we would go about delivering that kind of services and capability. So for us, it was being upfront about who we were and being not just unashamed of it, but being quite vocal and proud of that. And really that attracted people in that it's not just about, the services you offer, but, you're spending 12, maybe 15 hours a day with these people. So there's got to be some shared beliefs that allow you to kind of get through the hard times and the good times. And so doing that allowed us to start to attract that core group of talent. And then over time, really, it was one of our big beliefs is that good people attract more good people. And in fact, what ended up happening was it may not necessarily be that people wanted to work with Nick and I, they wanted to work with other team members in our team. And so that then attracted more people and so on and so forth. They attracted more people. And you get to this point where there's almost a sense of inertia that you're able to attract talent based on the fact of the team you have and the customers you have and the work you do. And actually, it does get easier to recruit on that basis. And if you look at some of the most successful companies, not just in the cybersecurity industry, but more broadly, they tend to attract talent on that basis as well. There's a belief in the mission and the philosophy and the people that inspires to come and work there. And in the same way, that then drags more people in. So it starts to become a bit self-propelling after a while.
And do you think that as these people come into your organisation as a consultancy, and then you can kind of push them out to businesses on these short-term projects or, outcome-based activities, do you think that that's a good thing for organisations to be able to draw on those short-term things with some really key expertise and then have some staff inside their organisation that are more permanent? What are your thoughts around who should be in the permanent roles and, what should companies be drawing on from outside expertise such as yourselves?
Yeah, so I think actually it gives you the best of both worlds. I think for a lot of businesses, it doesn't make economic or commercial sense for them to have a large in-house capability because they just don't have enough work in sort of general terms to keep a team of that size busy. So for things like a managed security service, such as the one that Trustwave offers, there is a real opportunity there to get access to something like that otherwise within your organization wouldn't make a lot of sense. So you get the benefit of having a service that is basically delivered remotely and then has the capability of absorbing the intelligence from all of those other customers and brings that in. So things like MSS, I think, is a perfect service for an organization to consume as a service. And then I also think things like cybersecurity consulting, where you need niche advice, say penetration testing or compliance advice, those sorts of things are excellent to bring in on an as-demand basis. The flip side of that is also that there is, you can't completely outsource security. You still need someone in-house to run, manage and govern that capability. So often we'll find organizations might have a small 1 to 2 person team, and that will be tasked with the responsibility of ensuring that security across an organization is well managed and well governed. They have a good relationship with the business and they're able to understand the business context, but then they draw down on different services across the cybersecurity community, or cybersecurity industry, I should say, to then bring in specialist expertise and advice as they need to. And obviously, for larger enterprise, then that starts to get, over time, the economies of scale start to change, and actually bringing some of those services in-house starts to make more sense. If you're a large bank or something like that, running your own penetration testing capability makes a lot more sense. But then there will be other capabilities where it still is better for them to get niche expertise on a case-by-case basis than trying to manage that over a long term as an in-house capability.
So when you've been building your team with these staff, with this niche expertise, what role has diversity played? And I know that's a very loaded word. It's hard to define it around gender, culture, diversity of thought, those types of things. Everybody has a different definition. Does diversity play a role for you in your hiring and your sourcing plans?
Yes and no. So for us, our belief is that diversity is an outcome of having a successful hiring and talent acquisition process. And so we've really taken a two-prong approach. So the first part of that is we made a decision about 2 years ago that we wanted to build out a back office capability staffed entirely from return to work parents. And the reason behind that was that, Nick and I, even in our own personal circumstances, observed the challenges for parents that have taken time to raise their family, have kids, that sort of thing, and then to try and then get back into the workforce. And there's really not enough opportunity for those people to get access to roles that offer them a fulfilling career, but also with the flexibility that they need. And so it was one of those opportunities where we got the chance to be part of the solution and not just a part of the problem. And they don't come along very often, frankly. So we made the decision that what we wanted to do was go out and only find people that were returned to work. They'd been out of the industry for a period of time. They'd raised their families and they wanted to get back in, but they needed some flexibility in terms of working arrangements. So that was perfect for us. If you consider someone like, say, a finance manager, having someone who can do invoices 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, doesn't make a lot of sense. It doesn't really matter when those things happen. So for us, it was then a great fit to be able to bring on someone with a really fantastic expertise and experience, and for us to be able to say, look, we don't really mind when the work gets done, as long as it gets done. And we're going to treat you like an adult, and we trust that you're going to do the right thing. We're going to give you all the tools you need to succeed. But there's an element of that, like we're happy to be flexible about how that happens. We've got kids get sick, school plays, all that sort of thing. And we know what that's like. And again, we wanted to try and solve that problem rather than just exacerbate it. So it meant that we could get access to people who have extraordinary backgrounds and expertise and experience, that if you're really narrow around your approach around what you wanted and you weren't willing to get that flexibility in return for that expertise, then you're really not going to get the right outcome for the business. So for us, I think that approach has been one of our biggest successes, and the team that we've got as a result of that decision is just absolutely amazing. And I'm continually blown away by the benefits that they bring to the business, not just like as part of their role, but also just the different viewpoints and the different changes in the culture and all that sort of thing from having that kind of exposure to family life and all that sort of thing, and it brings to the rest of the team. So, yeah, it's great. Sorry, that was quite a long-winded answer. The other part of that is, and it's something I'm very passionate about. The other part of that, I guess, is our team, like the broader consulting team. So our approach to hiring has always been, we focus on making sure we get the right person for the role, irrespective of, gender, background, short, tall, like whatever. It doesn't matter. We just need to make sure that we get the right person. And for me, the way we approach that, I liken it to the famous Bletchley Park crossword puzzles that Bletchley Park released in 1942 as part of the code-breaking capacity they were trying to build as part of World War II. And what they did was published a crossword, and it was very cryptic and all that sort of thing. And then if you could solve the crossword and send it in, all of a sudden you got a phone call from Bletchley Park. And what that meant was that the people that they drew in were not your classic mathematicians and people like that. There were housewives, there were physicists, there were people from all walks of life that otherwise wouldn't get a look in, purely because they had the right talent and the right passion at the right time. And so for us, that's our big belief is we want to give an opportunity to the people that have the passion, they have the talent. I'm not interested in what certifications you have. I'm not really interested in what university you went to. But if you can show me you've got a passion, you've got a capability for cybersecurity, then you're the kind of person I want to work with.
I mean, that's pretty incredible that an organisation, originally the size that you were, and I know that you're much bigger now in such a short time, but for you to be able to give those opportunities in an industry that is also supposedly having a skills crisis. Do you take some of those learnings and some of those principles that you're using around diversity, and are you putting them into your hiring practices to accommodate for competition around highly sought after skills in the technical front and in the consulting end of your business as well?
Yeah, so we hear a lot about the skills crisis, and I have a somewhat differing view from, I think, a lot of the industry. So if you take your typical large organisation that is struggling to find talent for a cybersecurity role, my belief, and actually one of Nick's sort of favourite sayings, is the best people for your team already work within your business. For the vast majority of organisations, other than quite small organisations, if you're looking for cybersecurity professionals, they probably already work there. It's just that they don't work in the cybersecurity team. You can bet there is a network admin, there is a sysadmin, there is someone in compliance, there's someone in HR. There are all these people that have all of the right traits that you're looking for. They already understand the business. They're passionate about cybersecurity. They want an opportunity to learn more. You just need to give them that opportunity. So actually, I think probably one of the issues with the skills crisis is actually people going out to market with really unrealistic expectations of what they're able to get at a particular price point. You see job ads for 5 years of experience for a security domain that's only existed for 3, or penetration testers that are also have a CISM, a CISA, and a CISP certification. Those things are just going to create the feeling that there is no one out in the marketplace that actually meets your requirements. But if you take an inward look and say, what's the outcome that we want to achieve here, and what's the kind of skill set we're looking for, there undoubtedly is people in your team, in your business, that have that capability and have that passion. They just need to be given an opportunity. And so for us, that's what it's about, is finding those people and giving them that opportunity. But that's not just something for Hivint, for Trustwave. That is the broader industry as well, is we need to do better at looking at the outcome we want and then find the right person for that outcome and pay less attention to the university they went to or the certifications they hold.
And look, I think, anyone who knows me and has read anything that I've written, I'm all about the why, like having that outcome in your mind already as to why you're hiring that person and what outcome are you hoping, not only for your organisation, but what outcome are you hoping for them. Knowing that makes everybody's journey so much easier and gives them a purpose.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think probably not just in terms of the talent you get, but the cultural drive that creates is really important, because you now are building a team around people that they give a shit. They care. They are emotionally invested in the outcome. They want to be part of it. They're prepared to do the hard yards. And look, they're the people you want. They are absolutely the people that will get you the best outcome possible because they are so heavily invested in making sure that happens.
Yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit about being heavily invested in things. I think there's a lot of cybersecurity people out there who, probably similar to yourself, have a drive to start their own business, to be part of startups, to have that purpose around they've got a problem that they want to solve. And I think the gig economy that we're experiencing now has kind of led us to lots of little cybersecurity startups, and they're solving some really great problems. I think there is a concern that we're losing a lot of potential in-house professionals to these new micro businesses. What's your opinion on that? And do you think there's a risk there?
I don't really see it as a risk. So I know from one of the things that we really promoted and still promote as part of the business that we grew is that we understand that not every single team member will be part of the Hivint and Trustwave journey for the long haul. They will, at some stage, they will move on to a different role or join a different business, that sort of thing. So we were very open along the way that we will want to train you, show you what it takes to run, grow, build a business, give you all those tools. So we actually run internal training sessions on how do you read a P&L, how do you sell, how do you market, all of those sorts of things, because we want to give people those skills and capabilities because they can then go out to the market, hopefully start their own business, fantastic, and then make a difference. So to go back to your original point is I think actually the amount of people going from businesses like ours, from large enterprise, that sort of thing, and going out and taking a chance that their way of solving a problem might just be the next big thing, fantastic. The more people, the better, because if we end up in a situation where everyone is focused on the same solutions to the same problems day after day, year after year, we will never improve. And as an industry, we absolutely do need to improve, and we need those people that are willing to take a bet on themselves to do that. So yes, while there is a risk that exists to enterprise that they do lose some talent, the security ecosystem as a whole and the collaboration of those people within the ecosystem, we will get a better outcome as a result of having those people willing to take a chance.
Yeah, I mean, I think that offering that you have for your staff around not just their cybersecurity professional development, but rounding out their understanding of how business operates. I mean, that's a huge support mechanism for your staff. And obviously you benefit from them having that knowledge as well. But what an amazing opportunity for staff that are working within Hivint.
Yeah, we're passionate about making sure that these team members are as enabled as they possibly can be to succeed, not just in their day-to-day jobs, but in their working life. So things like, this is how to do some soft skills around. This is how you approach a presentation. This is how you approach a sales meeting. All of those sorts of things are really important to them succeeding as a professional. Now, some of that is a little selfish for us because obviously we want them to succeed while they're part of the Hivint team or now the Trustwave team, but we also want them to succeed longer term because they're the skills and capabilities that will serve you over a really long time. And so I think it's incumbent on us to give them those opportunities and those skills because it's something that is missing in a lot of organisations where they just don't get that exposure.
I mean, despite what you're offering, and you're not only offering being part of an amazing value-driven organisation, but also all those other perks that you've just talked about, despite all of that, have you had hurdles sourcing staff at the same rate as which you've grown? I mean, obviously there's a balance of bringing on staff based on the work that you guys have got on your plate. But have you had some hurdles along the way in sourcing? And have you found that, say, being in Hivint or Trustwave has presented different hurdles to, say, when you're at StratSec or other times in your career?
Oh, absolutely. Look, it's not all rainbows and unicorns. Look, I think the challenge for us, like any business, is irrespective of the business you run, when it comes to talent, you have this sort of nexus of the right person and the right time. And very rarely do you get those two happen exactly when you need it to. So we've had lots of experiences where someone has come along and they've just been amazing. and we don't have a role for them, or there's been a role that we're desperately trying to fill and we just can't find the person that is the right fit for that role at that point in time. So generally we've taken the approach that, we'll take a chance. So if the right person comes along and we don't quite have the right fit for them, we would rather take a punt and say, you know what, we believe in this person and we believe that we need to ensure that they get the opportunity, because that opportunity might not come around again. We might not see that person. So we've always, as Nick likes to phrase it, lean forward. So take the chance, back ourselves. And, running a professional services business, there is nothing that drives sales more than seeing a large amount of people sitting around with no billable work. So, that's an ongoing challenge. But it's not just specific to the cybersecurity industry. If you're running, a retail store, a hairdresser, all that sorts of things, like talent acquisition is just an ongoing challenge.
Have you found that, given a lot of the staff that you've had to hire or wanted to hire over the time have been more technically minded, have there been some key lessons you've learnt that people listening to this podcast might be able to benefit from?
Look, we've hired people from such a broad range of backgrounds. It's incredible. We have people that have no formal technology training. We have lawyers. We have people that have got philosophy doctorates, physics degrees, all these sorts of things. But the key thing that unifies them is actually their passion for cybersecurity and a sort of an innate sense of curiosity. It's always what happens if I do X? That's largely, to me, what cybersecurity is about, is take the standard case and then sort of flip it on its head and see what happens. So for me, it's I guess the three things are trying to find people that have that sense of passion and curiosity and an ability to express themselves. That really trumps any sort of formal certification or education you may have. The other one for me is really around self-determination. You treat the team as if they're adults and enable them to sort of drive their own career, give them opportunities to drive their own professional development, support areas where they want to move into a particular domain, find opportunities for them to work in that domain, find opportunities for them to educate themselves and learn better, because the team as a whole will benefit from that. I think probably the third one, and this is probably reasonably specific to the cybersecurity industry, is just try not to take yourself too seriously. I think the industry as a whole has a bit of an issue in terms of we see ourselves as being the guardians on the wall, and we're the only things that are stopping from widespread hacking and breaches and all that sort of thing. And look, at the end of the day, our job is important, but I think we probably take that a little too far, and a little bit of humour and a little bit of self-deprecating humour is probably a good thing.
You might have already answered this, but I like to ask all my guests, what do they wish they'd known about building teams when they first started? So if you could go back now and talk to your 20-year-old self, what wise words would you have for him?
Yeah, I've been stewing on that for a little bit. So for me, I think it's probably not to undervalue soft skills and be willing to push yourself outside of your comfort zone. Particularly people that are new to the industry and they've got a sort of a technical mindset, but also more broadly than that, things like networking and sales and all that sort of thing are seen as being a bit of a dirty word. And actually, it's a bit scary at times, particularly for the younger people in the industry. You're a bit nervous about approaching someone at an industry event. You don't want to look silly and all that sort of thing. And there was a point where I really just realised that actually they're just people too. And as long as you treat someone with respect and you're genuinely interested in what they've got to say and that sort of thing, people are generally in the industry very nice, very willing to help and that sort of thing. So my advice to the younger me would be, be willing to sort of put yourself out there. Don't be scared, and don't undervalue the benefit of just having a chat with someone. A smile and a pleasant handshake and a good discussion actually has a lot of value.
Yeah, look, I think not even in the cybersecurity industry, that's pretty good advice. Thank you for today. I'm really pleased that you've been able to share not just the journey around cyber, but also around starting your own business and some of the lessons that you're teaching to your staff throughout the process. It's been really beneficial for you to share that with us. How can people find out more about you, more about Hivint, more about Trustwave? What's the best way to sort of connect with yourself?
Yeah, great. Look, thank you very much for the opportunity. I've really enjoyed the chat. So best way to get in touch with me, I'm available on Twitter at Searle. Otherwise, trustwave.com or hivint.com is the easiest way to find us.
Perfect. Thanks, Craig. And I look forward to watching your organisation continue to grow.
Thanks very much.
That's all we have time for today. Thanks so much for listening. For more information on all our guests, check out the show notes at thesecurecio.com, where you can also find more information on the Secure CIO framework and sign up for my newsletter. If you loved the show, please subscribe to the podcast and feel free to leave me a 5-star rating. I'll see you next week.